Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And just when you think it can't get any fucking dumber, Illinois Democrats find a way. So if you're not up to speed, Illinois had passed the Safe T Act as part of their spearhead to defund law enforcement in Illinois. One of the things that had not come to fruition on how they were going to enact it yet was how they were going to handle cash bails. Well, that just recently passed, and hope you're fucking sitting down. This is going to be fantastic. So, if you're not familiar with what a bail or a bond is, when someone is arrested, they go to the jail, they get booked, they get processed, and then the judge issues them a bond or bail. And what you do is you pay that bail. And it is, the court system doesn't keep the bail. The bail is basically assurance that you will come to your court date. So let's say you get arrested for, $5,000. Your bail is $5,000 on your arrest. You pay the $5,000, you get released, and when you come to your court date, they refund you the $5,000. No harm, no foul. It's just a way to make sure people don't skip town. What you do, most people do, is they get a bail bondsman because obviously $5,000, $10,000, $100,000, whatever, is tough for someone to come up with on the fly. Most people. So bail bondsman will front 90%, and then you will front 10%. And then when you do show up to your court date, they refund all of the money back to the bail bondsman. They keep the 10% you fronted, and that's how they make a profit, which is why they get so mad when you skip bail. So why do we go through all that? So you can understand. And a lot of times what it does is it keeps people in jail for maybe longer than someone may think is fair because they can't afford to pay the bail. Fair enough. So one of the things that this wanted to do, this Safety Act, was to eliminate cash bonds or cash bail. And their thought process was, it's not fair that the only reason someone can't get out on bail is because they can't afford it. Oh, it's disproportionately affecting blah, 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 blah. Let me put that fucking baby to bed. It's a side discussion, but we're going to go ahead and just address it real quick. The area that I live in, the area that I always patrolled in law enforcement, was predominantly white. And guess what? Those motherfuckers could not afford to get out of jail sometimes because who has that kind of money? But you know what? Don't do the fucking crime and you won't fucking sit in jail. It disproportionately affects anybody that doesn't have a lot of money just fucking sitting around. That's where it's disproportionate. Is rich people can afford to get out and poor people can't. That's it. No race, no gender, no creed, no religion, no sexual orientation. Poor and rich. That's where the line is drawn. Back to the topic. They recently settled. Uptown Illinois lawmakers settled on how they wanted to handle this thing. It was all voted and passed, and it will go into effect on January 1st of 2023. And they just released the list of criminal charges that will no longer have a cash bail. What does that mean? So when you're arrested on a crime, if they eliminate the cash bail, they'll do what's called an ROR, which is a release on your own recognizance. Basically, that's the court system saying, I trust that you're going to show up to court. We're not going to make you pay any money. I think you'll be there. It'll be fine. And then you're sent out after being booked and processed and everything. You're then sent out into the general population until your court date, which might be fine on, stealing stuff from Walmart or, keying someone's car. It might be appropriate. It might be applicable to put it into effect there, right? You'd think that's what they passed it for, right? Well, you would be wrong. So, what are the list of charges? Glad you asked. Pardon me. I had to take a quick break to go get my daughter's phone so I could have reference for this bullshit. So the list of non-detainable Illinois offenses beginning January 1st of 2023, and I'll put them up here as I'm reading them. Aggravated battery, aggravated DUI, aggravated fleeing, arson, burglary, drug-induced homicide, intimidation, kidnapping, robbery, second-degree murder, and threatening a public official. Now, you all might not know what most of those are, so we'll get into it very briefly. And again, between Illinois and Florida, things could be different, but they're generally the same. And I'll at least tell you what they are based off of Florida law, and I'd assume they're probably fairly close. So, aggravated battery. So, in Florida and in most places, there's a difference between assault and battery. Assault is a threat, or even as far as taking a swing at somebody and missing. Battery is actually unwanted touching, so it's any kind of contact with someone. So slap in the face, punch, touch on the arm, whatever. Aggravated battery is where, exactly like it sounds more aggressive, right? Typically you would have a weapon or something of that nature and you actually harmed them with it. So stabbed, shot, beat with a bat, things of that nature. No bond, no bail. You get arrested, booked, and sent on your way. And you get to go back out into the population to potentially do it again and go back and clean up your mess and finish the job. Aggravated DUI, I can only imagine aggravated DUIs. I'm guessing, being that we don't really have aggravated, we just have different levels of DUI, basically depending on how much you blow, things of that nature. Do you cause property damage? Do you hurt somebody? So on and so forth. So I'd assume it's one of obviously the more severe versions of that. You'd be let go with no bond. Aggravated fleeing. Fleeing to elude in Florida is basically, obviously, avoiding apprehension, running from the police and trying not to get caught. Arson, setting fire to things. So you just set fire to a building, you got arrested, and you get sent back out to potentially set another fire waiting for your court date. Burglary. People misuse the term robbed all the time. They come home and someone broke into their house and look, oh my God, I was robbed. That's not robbery. Robbery is actually person to person, you going, give me your shit, and then I'm going to take it from you. And there's obviously different versions of that, but burglary is, I broke into your home. You may have been home, you may not have been home. You weren't aware that I was there, and I went in and I stole some shit and I got out. That's burglary. Breaking and entering, some places call. Drug-induced homicide. I mean, homicide is generally intentionally killing someone. So now I don't know if this means that you intentionally or you just gave someone enough drugs that they died and you should have known better. I don't know. Intimidation is obviously trying to induce fear into someone to get them to do whatever it is you're trying to get them to do. Kidnapping, in Florida, there's a difference between false imprisonment and kidnapping. False imprisonment means that you don't let somebody leave. Kidnapping is not letting someone leave, but with the added incentive of you want something for it. Give me money and I'll let your family member go, whatever. That is what kidnapping is. There's a difference. Robbery, like I said before, is give me all your money, and you forcibly, through threat or actual physical force, you take something from someone. Second-degree murder, at least in Florida, typically second-degree murder is more along the lines, negligent homicide, things like you did something on purpose, but you didn't intend for it to kill somebody, but it did. And then threatening a public official. So typically, like if someone's like getting arrested and they say to the police officer, if you don't let me go when I get out, I'm going to find your family and I'm going to do X, Y, Z to them. And it's basically threatening someone to get them to do what you want, that has an official, public official status. So police officer, government official, politician, whatever. That list of things, all those, have no cash bail starting the first of the year. Do you see the fucking bullshit that we're getting into? The rabbit hole that we're going down, spiraling out of control in these liberal states. You started by defunding the police, then you started giving the power back to the criminals, and now you're not even punishing them. Like, you're giving a slap on the wrist, and they go to court, and maybe they get found guilty, maybe they don't, but they don't even pay the consequences in the meantime. Illinois is a fucking mess. All you have to do is look at all the nonsense in these liberal states, and they're falling apart. And one of the biggest things that's causing the fucking spiral is attacking the police. This is the bullshit that we're getting into. This is the nonsense. Wake up. Time to red pill. Wake up.